excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John.
Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid.
M. The whole world is a urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Hello, and welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm M.
And we are reviewing Night of the Creeps. I reviewed this before with Ben, and it was Ben's first episode, and Cobra. And they got me all hyped up, and I thought that this was going to be an absolute masterpiece from memory. And, well, we'll find out what I think now, but I don't feel the same way about it. You two have never seen... You've obviously seen this several times, but you...
What?
I had never seen it till now.
So, are either of you familiar with Tom Atkins?
Not really, no.
You ever see The Fog?
Yes.
He's in it. He just doesn't have a mustache.
Oh, okay.
Lame! We're pro-mustache here, right?
Depending. I only like a mustache with a beard, to be honest.
Well, then that's not really a mustache.
Yes, it is. How is it not a mustache?
Because it's the whole thing. It's
Well, what's it called then? A mustache and a beard together?
Just a beard.
No, it isn't.
What if you took the mustache away? It
Then
would
it'd
look
be a
like
beard.
an Amish person.
It would look weird, but it'd be a beard. I don't
Weird
think that...
beard. That's what it would be. A weird beard.
Yeah, it'd be a beard without a mustache. A beard is down here, a mustache is up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
Just, here's a plot synopsis.
An alien experiment has gone terribly wrong, turning people into zombies. Back in 1959, an axe killer is on the loose. Almost 30 years later, two boys find his dead body in a cryo chamber? Is that how you say that?
Yep.
He's a zombie with an alien slug in his brains, causing the zombie epidemics.
Yeah, there's axe murdering, zombies, aliens. This movie has everything. It fucking rocks. Well, it does to me. I don't know, but
It's a fun movie.
yeah, this one doesn't take itself seriously at all.
No.
Fred Decker, the director, the only other movie that I know that he did is Monster Squad, which, much like this, is like a love letter to horror movies. It's the Wolfman, the Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, I think, is in it. And this has so many references to other horror, mostly directors, I think.
Right, which I like that. Like, all the characters have, there's like Cronenberg and Romero and Carpenter and Cameron and Raimi, Craven, like, that's kind of cool how they do that.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite part about this, I think, so.
I'm really impressed you know all those names.
When we were watching it, every time one would come up, it'd be like, pa 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 pa, and you were like, please stop. It's bad enough you're making me watch a movie with slugs.
I read, though, that he did RoboCop 3, and that about ruined his career. Because apparently, like, it was originally supposed to be R-rated, and then they wanted to change it to PG-13, and it all got messed up, and was a very bad movie. And
So, the first RoboCop is amazing. The first half of the second one, amazing. The second half is nonsense. The third one, they got a different actor, gave him a jetpack, and had him fight against a bunch of kids. And then made it into a cartoon. Mind you, this is about a super ultra violent cop just blasting limbs off of people, and they're like, let's make that into a cartoon. Seems like something kids would want to watch. So, yeah. I didn't know he did that, but good lord. So this movie starts in the most amazing way. It's these little aliens.
Angry naked baby aliens.
Yep. And they're chasing each other around, and this one is trying to get something off of the ship. And he puts a little capsule in his little ejection thing and shoots it into space. And they're talking to an alien. They're like, shit, we can't let this thing off the ship. And it just goes off and lands on Earth at the exact same time that an axe murderer is escaped from the asylum.
Right.
So,
And it's the 1950s,
Right.
black and white.
These two people are at make-out point or whatever the hell it is, and they decide to leave because Tom Atkinson's character, whose name I don't remember, Ray, right? His name's Ray.
I believe so.
He sees his ex-girlfriend in the car, but he's nice about it. He's like, you guys gotta get out of here. There's like a killer. Just go
Right.
home. So they're starting to go home, but they decide instead to chase after what they thought is a falling star. It was 1950, so they haven't seen horror movies. You never, ever, 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 ever look for a falling star. Creep Show,
Like, didn't
Shit,
the
can't
beginning of
remember all of
this
them.
remind you of Killer Clowns from Outer
Yes!
Space? Because,
Yeah.
like, they're at make-out point, something falls from the sky, they go to search for it. That part was so simple. And
All of
also an
those.
ex-boyfriend cop shows up, like...
Right.
And that,
All of
these movies
those
were, like,
are
2 years apart, too.
The Blob. All of those stem from The Blob. That's the first movie that did that. But in all of them, they all like, let's go check out that ball. No! Don't do that. Let's say you do find a literal star that you're gonna die, man. You're gonna get burned up. You're gonna get radiation. What are you gonna find? What
Is
are they
that what would
hoping to
happen
find?
if you found a star?
If a star hit Earth, there'd be no Earth.
But stars have hit Earth. I mean, like... they're
Comets,
burnt.
pieces of comets.
Right, yeah.
Not- if a star hit Earth,
I like a burned out star, because, like, by the time they're falling, they're really burned out, aren't they? No?
hang on. They're not stars. They're comets. They're pieces of rock. There. I'm done now. There. That's how scientists talk, right?
Sure.
Okay.
No.
Was it too aggressive?
Yes.
I'm sorry. The boy and the girl pull up next to where the thing fell, and the boy gets out and just leaves his fucking girlfriend in the
Right.
car. And
And
she's
she's
literally-
listening to the radio. They're talking about this axe murderer that escaped.
right, and she's like, "You can fondle my breast if you get back here. Just get back here." And he's
Right.
like, "Get here, sorry." And so he finds a little pod, and just like in Alien, something pops up. It's a slug, and it gets into his mouth.
Yep.
And that's the first time when you were like, "I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I've
Nope.
had enough."
Gross.
First, you paused it and rewound it. You were like, "What was that?" And you rewind it, and then you go, "Ugh."
Ugh, yeah. Disgusting.
But we fast forward to, it says 28 years later, so that'd be 1987?
Well, the movie was made in 86, so
Okay.
I'm gonna guess 86.
Okay.
It was 1959 was the year they were back in the car, and then, yeah.
Well, fast forwards, and there's toilet paper all over the campus, which you said never happened in any decade on campus
I've
ever.
never seen anybody toilet paper anything on campus ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe somebody, like, people would do it to maybe in another person's room, like dorm room or something. But
The entire
I
campus.
didn't just walk around campus with toilet paper hanging all over. It's a treat.
Dude,
It's a treat.
toilet paper is a commodity.
I mean,
Why
I've
are you
never
doing
seen
that?
people do that. Like, that's supposed to be such a typical Halloween thing, like toilet paper somebody's house. Have you ever actually seen that done?
No.
Me neither. Or soaping people's windows. I never see that either.
No.
Mm-mm.
Man, we're lucky.
It's just egging Corning where I'm from.
Yeah.
Someone egged my car once. It was nowhere near Halloween. It was just a piece of shit. I knew who did it, but then he went to jail for killing a baby. So.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That
Whoa.
guy.
that guy. He didn't like me very much.
Well, that's
Which is
probably not a bad thing.
fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the kind of person you want to like you.
No, not really. He just realized that I had parked my car out front, and he's like, "Fuck this guy," and just hit it with eggs.
Oh no.
And I go outside. I'm like, "What? Why?" Our hero is Chris Romero, but he's a whiny, useless. I hate this guy. I don't want to spend a movie with him. His friend is cool, JC.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's funny. He's witty. He's got quips. Chris is just like, I have to talk to a girl to actually get her to like me? No.
Chris is played by Eric Lively, who is Robin Lively and Blake Lively's brother.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Robin Lively was in Teen Witch. Did you ever see Teen Witch?
No, I didn't, because I was actually just wondering who Robin Lively was. I know who Blake Lively is, but...
Yeah, they're like much older siblings.
Oh, okay.
That's all I have to
I
say
didn't
about
know
that.
who they were.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Oh, he was also in European Vacation.
Oh, I saw that.
He was the teenager in European, which that's what like made me recognize him.
God, does he suck that much in that movie? He sucks in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just sucks. Why are they making him, in order to meet this girl, first JC talks to her, finds out her name, Cynthia Cronenberg, which, fuck yeah! She has a boyfriend. They just completely ignore this fact and decide to join a fraternity to get her attention. And the fraternity is run by her boyfriend, Brad, who you said
He
is
is so cringy.
piece of shit, yeah.
The Bradster.
Yeah.
Like, he even has that on his license plate.
His hair, you said, was a color that didn't exist.
Not a real hair color.
Chris and JC sign up for the fraternity, and their job is to, in order to get in, they have to go find a cadaver and drop it on one of the other houses' lawns.
Yeah, like, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right?
I know there's a lot of hazing and crazy stuff that goes on for fraternities, but I can't imagine them actually being like, okay, so you have to bring a dead body. Like, really?
Well, at least they didn't have to fuck farm animals, like they were
True.
saying. So then we run into Tom motherfucking Atkins, who is on a beach in a suit, enjoying some coconut juice, and then he wakes up. Oh, there's a corpse.
You mean
There's a
coconut
corpse.
water?
I'm saying
Or
juice.
coconut
It is juice.
milk?
Juice.
Water or
Juice.
milk?
Juice. Alright, it's probably milk or water, one of the two.
Coconut.
I'm leaving out your objection and leaving in, but it was coconut juice.
Oh my god, you're like God!
So he gets woke up from his dream and he says,
You did.
What?
Oh.
Throw me.
I won't do that to you again, I'm sorry.
That's rough.
He basically
No,
says
I
this
think
about
you should
50
leave that in
times.
because that's perfect. Me saying what?
What?
Just use that for every episode now.
Oh, we skipped over. They go into the lab.
Right.
They just guess that the number is 0, and they get into the lab and they get this dead body out of a cryo chamber.
Which was Johnny.
Yep, from the beginning. And he starts to move, so they run away, and then the guy who was in the lab goes in and gets killed. Presumably by slugs entering his mouth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they call Tom Atkins. So he gets there, and the body, the corpse, has disappeared. Also, everyone is eating in this movie when they go to crime scenes.
Yeah.
Very 80s. Whenever they would show a coroner, he'd always be eating like a donut or a sandwich. Sometimes they'd put it on the corpse. I'm like, dude, what? No! Ray is angry at everybody, and the corpse is walking around. And the corpse goes to Cynthia's dorm, goes up into the window, and scares the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And then
His head opens
explodes,
up,
and a bunch of slugs come
yeah.
out. I can't believe you got through this movie. Because there were so many times when I thought you were just going to be like, I'm not doing this one. This was one of them. Ray gets there, and the mark in the guy's face looks like an axe wound.
Right, yeah.
So he thinks the ghost of this axe killer has come back,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been absolutely nuts if there was also ghosts in this movie. But like his partner's like, you need to calm down, dude. That's not what's going on.
Right.
So the next day, Chris and JC are walking around, and the frat corners them and is like, we said to drop the body in a different fraternity's house, not a sorority's house, you dumbasses.
Right.
And they're like,
We didn't do it.
Did not do that. But Brad knocks the crutches out from JC. What a piece of shit.
Horrible.
So that's all it takes for Cynthia to fall in love with Chris and not JC, and now we are stuck with Chris. And this movie's just making all the wrong decisions here because JC's the one that got like fucked with. JC's the one with all the quips. Chris and Cynthia end up hanging out. And by the way, when Cynthia goes and talks to Chris to, get comfort for what happened, he's literally just like, yeah, oh, that's crazy. Hey, can I walk you home? Like, he's not offering any advice. He's not saying anything useful. But that's enough for Cynthia to be like, cool, let's go to the dance together. Why? And I told you...
anything's an improvement from the Bradster.
Definitely. I told you at the beginning of this movie that I was convinced that Cynthia had an arc, and that Cynthia had depth and character and layers. And as this movie is progressing, I'm like, oh my god, she is vapid.
And I kept saying, when are they going to develop her?
Yeah.
Like,
where's this arc?
And I started thinking to myself, did I remember this wrong? And I did. I definitely remembered this wrong. She's vapid, and she has no personality whatsoever. And the first guy that says to her, she's like, I'm gonna take you to the dance. Why? No!
Yeah. Yeah, she's very pretty. I mean, that's like the only
Her really only personality trait was that she was very like mousy.
Her voice was awful.
What do you want to go to the dance with me?
Yeah.
Oh God, it was horrible. She was like whispering. Ugh.
Detective Cameron takes the two of them to ask them what they were doing in the mortuary / cryo chamber / whatever. And they're like, we found the body, but then we ran away. And the janitor's like, yeah, screaming like banshees. Yeah, let's make Asian stereotypes 80s movies. Good job. Anyway, yeah, they're like, yeah, we saw it, but it ran off. Or it was still moving when we were in there. So
Right.
the body of the scientist gets off the table, walks out into the hallway, and infects the janitor.
I don't remember when this was, but there was like a cop that like was not paying any attention to the zombie walking out, and he's like, "See you tomorrow," or something. Like, what? Everyone was so oblivious in this movie.
That's David Paymer, and I know him from something. Cynthia then walks home with Chris. Cynthia asks Chris to go to the dance, and that's when Ray shows up again and brings Chris to his house and is like,
I've been a rookie about 2 weeks. We got the call. Highway patrol, they saw a car on the side of the road. I found the girl. I found her in the car. And on the road. And in the woods. Your high school sweetheart went on with her life. Mine got hacked up by a nutcase with an axe. It wasn't what you call your routine police work either.
What would you call it?
Revenge. You see, I tracked him during my off hours.
By yourself?
Oh, no. I took my 12 gauge with me. I tracked him and I found him. And when I found him, I leveled off that shotgun right at his chest. Spanky, guess what happened next?
Should you be telling me this?
Close. I pulled the trigger. I wrapped his body in a plastic bag. I buried him in a vacant lot. The lot right behind your girlfriend's sorority. Of course, it isn't a vacant lot anymore. Now the house mother's cottage is sitting right on top of it.
the house mother is watching Plan 9 from Outer Space and hears a noise in the basement and just sits there and watches as this thing with an axe, because for some reason they buried him with his axe.
Right.
I know, like you said, they weren't expecting him to get up with it or anything, but he did, and he got up and killed the house mother, and then they corner this zombie in an alley, and they all kill it, and slugs go everywhere, and no one notices the slugs going everywhere. So
Also, do we have any idea why they decided to freeze Johnny, like keep him there to bring him back someday? Like, why? That seems like such a random thing to do.
they found a body in the woods and like, this is the one we're gonna freeze. He's dead. You
Yeah.
aren't keeping him alive. What's the point? Like the cryo chamber should be to keep somebody they can thaw
Right,
and he's still
yeah.
alive. Yeah. Unless they knew.
I don't know what the point
but
was of that.
no idea. So
Unless they knew he had these slugs in him, and then they thought that was the only way to like keep them from getting out. Maybe, I don't know.
but who knew that?
They found him next to some kind of
Like they
alien.
hadn't
Like,
discovered
you know what I mean?
fire to kill them yet, so they were like, well, let's just freeze them, and then they can't escape. I don't know.
Also, this is about the time when JC dies. And I'm sad about it. I don't want JC to
Yeah,
die,
I liked
man.
him.
But he's in the bathroom. He figures out that you can set them on fire.
Yeah.
So he doesn't die. They get in his brain. And he figures out that they're laying eggs in the brain and moving you around.
Ew.
Right.
And then they can hatch and more of them can come out. So he goes down into a boiler room. Which, in order to show that it's the boiler room, somebody took a marker and just wrote boiler room on a wall. But he goes down there and dies, and they all die when they come out of him. He leaves a tape recorder for Chris to figure all that stuff out, too. So, Something I forgot to mention is why I like Tom Atkins' character so much. He's walking up to the house mother's house, and there's a rose, and he stops and smells the rose, and I thought that was
funny.
so cool.
Yeah.
Like, this guy rules. His one-liners,
He is really fun.
he's great. Chris figures out what's going on, and everybody's getting ready to go to this dance. So Chris goes to talk to Detective Cameron, who has taped off his house and is planning on killing himself. But when he explains everything that's going on, he's like, all right, I'll kill myself somewhere else, I guess. They go talk to Dick Miller, who is in so many things, basically is the same character. He's either selling people guns, or he's a janitor. He's in Chopping Mall as a janitor. He's in Terminator as a guy selling guns. He's in some weird like a softcore porn where he's just in the crowd.
He's not selling weapons?
No, he's just in the crowd clapping, and they zoom in on him. I can't remember what the name of it was.
I saw it.
You and I both watched it. It was like a comedy. It was like one of those...
Comedy softcore porn.
Yeah, sort of like...
Okay.
It was sort of like American Pie with a little bit more nudity.
I hated American Pie.
Yeah, so did I.
Too.
But this one had basketball players. You remembered it when I brought it up to you before.
No.
But now's not the time.
Well,
now
what
is
can I say?
not the time. But in Terminator, he's selling somebody a gun, and they load a shotgun right in front of him and kill it. It's almost the exact same thing here. He's just selling them a gun, or giving them a flamethrower, right? He's like, I'm gonna need to see your permit, and he's like, I don't have one, and then like points the shotgun at him. This is about 1/3 the length of the one we just did.
Well, there's a lot less to say about this one.
That's perfect.
It's true, though. Detective Cameron and Chris show up at the house and are getting all of the sorority girls out of the house. Meanwhile, the fraternity guys are all on a bus, and they come across the possessed dog, which makes the bus crash.
Yeah.
And all the zombies of those people get out after the dog crawls in and gives them all slugs. So the zombies start coming towards the fraternity. Meanwhile, Brad is infected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no one can tell the difference
No,
between...
he shows up and, like... I'm like, these people are just so oblivious. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to look at him for a split second and see that he's a little off.
Even Cynthia sits down with him and is like, look, I was going to call you. I just don't think we're working. And he's just like...
She didn't even look at it. She didn't even
No.
glance at him.
And then slugs start coming out of his mouth. Like,
So Chris kills him, and then inside, Tom Atkins is like,
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Yeah, that was funny.
I didn't like It's Miller Time. I thought that was dumb. It didn't
Yeah.
make any sense. It had no context to anything. But
Yeah, I think the best
I never
lines
saw
were
those
the-
commercials in the 80s. It's from the Miller commercials.
I knew that, but like, why? He's just like, Duck, it's
it
Miller
was
Time.
popular at the time.
Well, they do the same thing in Ghostbusters. They're like, yeah, we killed the ghost. It's Miller Time.
Maybe back then
Well,
it
maybe
would have
they
been funnier.
sponsored. Maybe it's like a
could be.
product
Oh,
placement
maybe.
kind of thing.
They showed Pepsi all over the place in this movie, too, so that was probably part of it.
I didn't even notice that.
So Detective Cameron makes his way down to the basement. Meanwhile, Chris and Cynthia, she's just another person in this movie. She has a flamethrower and doesn't use it. They hand her a shotgun, she doesn't use it. The only
She's
thing,
like scared or nervous.
she's scared. The only thing she does is get them into... she gets them trapped. That's all she does.
Oh yeah, and that little shed underground thing.
Yeah, and then they have the nerve to like call her out on it. You wrote that into the script, you asshole.
Right.
You purposely made her dumber? Anyway, they make their way down to the basement, and Detective Cameron is duct taped his mouth because his plan is to blow up all these things, but he doesn't want any getting into them. The fact that he takes the duct tape off, they do get into him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's a big pile of slugs, and you were loving it. You were like, more slugs, yes!
Ew.
It was about this point that I think you stopped watching.
Yeah, I don't have anything after the flashback to his sweetheart. So.
Yeah, you were like, I get it.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
I can only
Fine.
write gross, ooh, yuck.
I see
so
gross in
many times.
capital letters there. Yeah. Detective Cameron starts counting down from 20 and gives him a wink because he's cool as hell. And then they get out, but when they're leaving, Chris is counting way too fast, and they didn't think that went out real good. But he blows up the house. Slugs are mostly dead. A few of them get out of Detective Cameron's charred corpse and go into the graveyard. And there's like a shot of the alien ship looking for them,
Right,
which
yeah.
I forgot about, but I thought that was pretty cool. And these people are oblivious, so there's no way they would even notice an alien ship floating around 10 feet off the ground.
Right.
Also, I've been saving this for the podcast, haven't brought it up with you or you. When Cynthia and Chris kiss at the end of this movie, it is so forced. It's so forced, and there's no way in any world that this would ever happen. And it reminds me of Critters 2. There's like a 17-year-old boy and a 26-year-old woman, and they're the main characters. The 26-year-old woman is staying in the town. The 17-year-old is leaving on a bus forever, and they make out at the end of the movie because you have to have that, right? No, you definitely don't, and that's gross.
Well, yeah.
And that's what this reminds me. And every time I see these in movies, like, there's no connection between the two characters. There's nothing other than, like, some tragedy happened that they were both involved in, and they're both like, let's make out in front of everybody. No!
No!
That'd be me yelling from across the street, no! Stop it!
That's just not right!
There's corpses everywhere!
But then, I mean, this movie really was meant to be like an homage to older horror movies that
Sure.
kind of thing happened in all the time. So.
Yeah. I'm getting really mad at a movie I really like, and I shouldn't. I should stop that. That's it. We're done already.
Apparently, he originally claimed that he wrote this script in a week, and in more recent times, he's like admitted it was closer to like 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say 3 days.
No.
I got drunk and wrote this on a napkin. I love this. Why am I being so mean? I love this movie. Well, I guess I'll give my score. I'm giving it a 7. It's all Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins is why I give this movie a 7. And the horror references.
Yeah.
And the aliens at the beginning and the gore and I love it. That stuff's good. This has no story whatsoever. Makes no sense. This is a completely different movie than what we just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can't even believe it's the same genre.
Right.
How are those both horror? But, yeah, these are the kind of horror movies I actually really, really like. Dead Alive, Army of Darkness, this. Stuff where it's just like, they're having fun. They're having a lot of fun. I like Hereditary. I like movies like that, too. But I really have a thing for these. They're more like party movies.
Yeah, and not taking themselves seriously at all.
Yeah, and you can play drinking games with them. Like, you could drink every time they made a horror reference and stuff like that. That's why I like these kind of movies.
Yeah.
So, alright. Lindsay?
I am going to give it a 5. Like, I enjoyed the movie. I think it's a fun movie. I would watch it again. I liked all the horror references and, like, the campiness and silliness of it, but I mean, it wasn't scary and it wasn't like a masterpiece of a movie. Right. So, I mean, I think 5's about right.
Yeah. Oh no, I know you don't like this movie at all. Good.
I give it a 2.
Yeah.
1 point for JC and 1 point for Ray.
Yeah.
Ray?
Yep.
Yeah, the cop.
Oh, I did like some of the lines. Like, all the thrill me's were pretty fun. I love, like, he answers the phone, thrill me. Like, it's funny.
I didn't like when Chris did it. I was like, you don't deserve to be
Yeah.
fucking using that line. If you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com /JustAnotherHorrorPodcast.
On Instagram, it is just a horror pod.
Twitter, Just Horror Pod.
We're on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts and Podbean. So subscribe, rate and review the show, or if that's a thing you can do on one of those platforms. I don't know. Yeah, comment on the show. Write an email. I'll read it.
Did you say the email?
Oh shit! What is it?
Horror casting?
No, it's just a horror podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a horror podcast
at
gmail.com. You're high and you remember it better than me.
Hey!
Do the thing!
To be like...
Do the thing!
Throw me.